Hey guys, I'm Dennis. I've decided to help you guys out with your Unit 2 review test. I'm doing a packet going through and explaining every single question from the review packet. I'm doing a separate video for every single page so you guys can go skip forward or go back depending on what you do and don't know. If you know everything, then you probably don't need to watch this. But let's get started from the top. So the first question asks you about velocity and gives you a seconds and a feet chart. So we know that velocity equals change in distance over change in time. This is the definition. So you say miles per hour means how much distance, miles, per unit of time, hours. Okay, so that's pretty intuitive. And so we can start on the first part of question A, and it says 3 seconds. So by definition, 3 seconds means the change in time is 3 seconds. To find the change in distance, all we do is subtract the final distance by the initial distance. Essentially, you're just finding how far have you gone, or what is the change in location after 3 seconds. So we can do that by saying 178 minus 32 equals 146. Divide that out, and you're left with 48.6 feet per second. Same thing here, you're told that the change in time is 2 seconds, so the 2 goes on the bottom. Change in distance, now all you need to do is find how much distance, or how far you go after 2 seconds. So from 2 seconds to 4 seconds, you subtract these two values, you get 87, and you're left with 43.5 feet per second. Finally, this is just saying after 1 second, how far do you go? Same concept, change in time is 1 second, change in distance, you subtract the two values and you get 28, so your final answer is 28 feet per second. Now the second part is a bit more challenging. It asks you to find the instantaneous velocity when t equals 2. So some people might, conceptually what we need to do is find the velocity from 1 to 2, then find the velocity from 2 to 3, and then average those two together. So essentially, we know the change in time is always 1 second because it's 1 to 2 is 1 second, 2 to 3 is 1 more second. So then we just subtract the distances. From 2 to 1, your change in distance is 32 minus 10 divided by 1 second. So your velocity from 1 second to 2 seconds is 22 feet per second. Same concept from 2 to 3. You just find the change in distance over change in time by subtracting the two distances over the change in time, and you get 28 feet per second. Now you found the velocity from 1 to 2 and the velocity from 2 to 3. Now all you need to do is average those together. So when you average two, you add them together, 22 plus 28, divide by 2, and you get 25 feet per second. So that would be your final answer. I know I said meters for all of these. That's because I'm stupid and didn't read the graph. And also, if you have Miss Harris, make sure you write fractions and don't use decimals. Otherwise, she'll give you a C. That's happened to me multiple times. I almost failed the class because she just didn't like my decimal notation. Moving on to the second part, this is pretty simple as well. So when it says, when you have a minus or you have a plus, just remember that this means which side you're approaching it from. So when you say 3 minus, it means you're approaching this value from the minus side. And so on the minus side always means the left, the positive side always means the right. You can think about it like the x-axis. Positive is on this side, negative is on this side. So it asks you, where is the function closest to when you approach 3 from the negative side? So this is x equals 3 right here, and you're coming along the negative side. So then you would just easily say, okay, we're following this line, you're here, and then the value is 4, right? Here, it asks you the same question, but only approaching from the positive side. So when you're coming from the positive side, you're going from here and you're going this way. From the positive side, you're approaching the value of y equals 2. So your limit would be 2. Then finally, it asks you the limit as x approaches 3. Remember that if the limit from the left side does not equal the limit from the right side, then the limit does not exist at all. So if this was 4 and this was 4, the limit would be 4. If this was 3 and this was 3, the limit would be 3. But since these are two different numbers, your limit of c does not exist. Again, if approaching from two different sides, the limits are different, your final limit doesn't exist. Now on part D, this just asks you what does the graph equal when you evaluate it at x equals 3. This would just be the black part of the function, so it would be right here. So x of 3, the y value here would be 3, and your answer would be 3. Now, for these bottom questions down here, y'all just got to put that in your calculator. I can't really help you there. You just look at the graph, put numbers really close to 0 and see what it looks like. That's pretty intuitive. It's not very hard.